Why don't we do another contest?
Okay, and while we do that, maybe we could talk about freaky fandoms.
Okay, freaky fandoms
But
first.
you asked the question as well.
Freaky fandoms first, and then a contest. Does that sound right?
All right.
Go for it.
Oh, man. Freaky fandoms.
You brought it up.
Yes, they are one of our super favorite people. They are a sponsor of ours. They've been with us for many a year supporting our efforts. And they have a podcast, as you can see on the screen right now, the Freaky Fandoms podcast. They talk about cult movies, games, music, etc. And the latest podcast, which is news to me, is apparently they're doing a new Saw movie.
Wow.
Featuring Samuel L. Jackson, they said. Don't know if it says that on this screen. No, but that's what they said in the email to us. That strikes me as unusual. Maybe they're going in a different direction with it. Because I think Saw, the first one, maybe even the first two, were pretty good. But then they just got silly. They got super silly and lost their way, I think.
They are, which almost makes the idea of Chris Rock writing one of them make kind of sense, especially with Samuel L. Jackson, famous for Snakes on a Plane. So he's done these kind of like semi-serious comedy movies before, right? I mean, that's what Snakes on a Plane was. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like you said, Saw has become, it sort of jumped the shark. It became so violent and crazy that it became comedy in essence. And I think there was another movie that did a pretty good job of like blending the comedy into the horror, which was The Cabin.
Oh, Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. I mean, that was fantastic. So
yeah.
I think there's definitely space within the horror world, realm of horror films to be self-aware and self-referential to the fact of recognizing the ridiculousness of all the splatter and the gore, and not to take itself too seriously in the midst of that sort of presentation. One of the first film directors, story writers that I really got into who used to do stuff like that was actually Peter Jackson. I don't know if you've ever seen his original like New Zealand-based horror comedies.
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste is right up there. The other one would be the movies with Ash, Evil Dead series. Those are horror comedies, and they're actually really fun to watch. So I would say that this makes sense. I don't think... So, for instance, if you'd heard that another Saw was coming out, because you're right, they're up to like number 40 or something. I mean, there's a lot of Saw movies. So if you were going to make a Saw, another one, it would actually be kind of dumb to keep doing the same thing.
I think so.
You would be smart to do a twist like this to kind of reinvigorate the franchise.
But yeah, maybe head on over to Freaky Fandoms, have a listen to their podcast, and see what these guys think about the new Saw.
Yeah, and it's always fun to give them a listen. They are also celebrating 1 whole year of Deborah now being an official co-host of Freaky Fandoms. Ooh. I can't believe it's been a year. I feel like they just announced that only a few weeks ago. Kind of goes to show how time flies.
Yeah, 52 weeks ago.
Insane. Anyway,
there you go.
A big special thank you and shout out to our friends Andrew and Deborah over at Freaky Fandoms. And as I always say, they are our biggest supporters. So if you want a way to support us, you can always go to support them, which does some sort of supportception and helps everybody out. So there you go. All right.